Bill Gates and the World Health Organization have set a date for the next pandemic, and they've even named the virus. Now, Bill Gates, the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, and the World Health Organization conducted something called the Catastrophic Contagion, a pandemic tabletop exercise. And they did this in Brussels in October of this year, 2022. These are the same folks who brought you Event 201. Same kind of tabletop exercise to prepare for a coronavirus pandemic. And then one happened just 2 months later. It was the real thing, you know? The same pandemic that Anthony Fauci told Trump would happen during the time of his presidency. That was 2017, 3 years before it happened. These guys are really good prognosticators, aren't they? I mean, they're almost prophetic. You wonder how they can do it. Well, they're at it again. Just like Event 201 back in 2019, this exercise simulated a series of World Health Organization Emergency Health Advisory Board meetings, news flashes, addressing a fictional pandemic set in the near future. Participants grappled with how to respond to an epidemic located in one part of the world that then spread rapidly, becoming a pandemic and killing like 20 million people. Much higher fatality than the COVID-19, and disproportionately this time, it affected children and young people, or so they say. I'm sure the planners of this meeting realized the coronavirus pandemic had a couple of drawbacks. From an emotional point of view, first, it was primarily fatal to older adults, not as emotionally gripping as children. A disease that strikes children is much more emotional. Second, it wasn't deadly enough to really scare the bejeebers out of people. So for this exercise, they decided to pick a virus that predominantly killed and maimed children. That's emotional. They even gave this virus a name, SARS, S-E-R-S for short, Severe Epidemic Enterovirus Respiratory Syndrome, a disease like polio. Polio is an enterovirus. Let's watch a short clip from Gates and the World Health Organization's propaganda film about this future outbreak.
Officials in 2 Latin American countries alerted the WHO of several outbreaks of a new infectious disease that's mysteriously appearing across the region. Severe Epidemic Enterovirus Respiratory Syndrome 2025.
There is the name of the new disease, guys. And you notice that the propaganda film targets 2025. Will this be the green horseman of the apocalypse? The death horse? Well, maybe. Who knows right now? But this ministry thinks 2025 to 2028, the planned years of this pandemic, according to Gates, is about right timing for when we think the green horseman may ride. And there's that name again, SARS 2025. Let's keep listening.
Over the past 6 weeks alone, there have been 500 confirmed or suspected cases reported. The virus could cause a severe pandemic if early containment and mitigation efforts are not successful.
The pandemic in this type of situation and trend would be a risk for the global health security.
Pandemics are inherently political, financial, and so much broader.
Look at this guy. He is the naysayer, and the one we're going to learn to ignore if we follow their propaganda, the one who doesn't go along with the World Health Organization as the global health leader. Let's keep watching.
We have not spoken on the leadership in country, and I think that we need to be also very careful. We cannot decide a lot of things without the leaders be involved and agree on that.
There is no substitute for national leadership. It's important to support the local response or the national response.
Training those that are in these areas first, enabling them with the tools, protecting them, and if needs be, regional solidarity first.
At this stage, communication is key, and communication should include not just scientists with data, but also social, religious, and political leaders.
Trust. This is an essential issue, and trust was broken among countries, between populations and healthcare systems, between healthcare systems and governments.
I'm very sorry to say that in 2025, we need to strengthen the health system.
WHO needs to be a voice for the voiceless.
No one is safe until all of us are safe.
There you go. The World Health Organization needs to be the voice for the voiceless. They need to be in charge, according to these people, because, of course, they have their best interests in mind, don't they? Yeah, right. Tell me another one.
As of today, there have been an estimated 1 billion cases worldwide, with more than 20 million deaths, including nearly 15 million children. Countless millions are alive, but left with paralysis or brain damage.
And a polio-like virus is perfect for someone who would want to scare the bejeebers out of the world. I personally was too young to remember polio and the fear that it engendered. They had a vaccine back when I was a kid. I remember standing in line, getting that little cube at my little town's town hall. I remember a very long line, going down maybe a block or two. People just lined up to get those little cubes. Enteroviruses like polio can cause neurogenic damage, leaving their victims paralyzed for life. I remember pictures of kids in wheelchairs and on crutches in the ads for the March of Dimes, a charity effort to try to find a cure. And they found one. In fact, I went to professional school in Salk Hall at the University of Pittsburgh, where the polio vaccine was originally discovered. You know, the one that freed the world from this killer and maimer of kids. So that is what this exercise purports to unleash on the world. Again, another polio-type virus, and very likely another vaccine.
If more countries had participated and heeded the guidance, the toll might have been much less.
By the way, I don't know if you guys recognize this spokeswoman, but she is the former CNN anchor, Jean Reserve. And the name on the screen is GNN instead of CNN. Very interesting. Mainstream media links here with the World Health Organization and Gates. Also notice, we need to heed the advice of the World Health Organization. We hear that over and over in this propaganda film. So a vaccine will likely be part of this next pandemic as well. But maybe this magic potion will have a little something extra in it. I mean, who knows? Who knows what they're planning? One thing we know they are planning, however, is a worldwide vaccine mandate. Upon the next outbreak of a pandemic, the G20 meeting held just at the beginning of this month had Gates telling the world leaders, guys like Biden, Putin, Xi Jinping, Macron, all those guys, telling them to pass a memorandum requiring vaccine passports as soon as the vaccine becomes available. And these clowns signed it. All of them signed it. We'll discuss what this might mean biblically and prophetically. The Bible is completely clear that this is exactly how the one world government takes power. Maybe Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab know their Bibles better than we think they do, and they're just going right along with the script. Here's how Mystery Babylon takes power according to Revelation 18. Because your merchants became the great ones of the earth by deceiving the nations with your, and the Greek word here is pharmakia, meaning satanic pharmaceutical sorcery. So according to biblical prophecy, the merchants of the world will take over and become the great ones or commanders of the earth and deceive the nations with something of a satanic influence that involves drugs. Pieces are certainly falling into place for something just like that. Billionaire merchants are trying to take over, enforcing mandates on the whole world, mandates involving drugs. Very interesting correlations. Well, what are you going to do? As for me, starting next year, Marquis Laughlin, Jake McCandless, and I are holding conferences throughout the USA on how to prepare for the last days. And this topic is one of them that we're going to talk about. If you follow this channel, you are aware of this. But even though you might be aware of this and are watching this video, the vast 99% of the church isn't aware. We need to wake them up. That's what Marquis, Jake, and I are doing next year, trying to wake up at least the USA. But in order to get started, we need your help. Stop right now, please, and pray. Pray and see if God places it on your heart to jumpstart this series of conferences. We don't need a lot. We figure the conference will be self-supporting, but we need funds to start the very first one. If everyone watching this video gave a single dollar, we would have enough. That's all it would take to potentially prepare a portion of a church for what's coming, $1. But what is it worth to you? What's it worth to God? On the screen is a QR code. You can use that with your camera to go right to our website. There's also a link down in the description you can click on. This will take you there as well. Pray and give, because I guarantee you, guys like Gates and Schwab are investing billions to support the other side, the dark side. But like the widow's mite, even the smallest amount in God's economy can be multiplied. We can do this. And if you give more, praise God, we get there even faster. So this is Nelson. And when I say, I'll see you there, maybe, if God is willing, I will see you there at a conference next year.